Continues and will be going on for a while, speaking about post-general election 2025. Joining us this morning is Curtis Williams, the chairman of the Tobago division of the TC Chamber of Industry and Commerce, to share some insight. And I should really say welcome back. Good morning, Curtis.
Hi, good morning to your viewers and listeners. It's a pleasure being here on air.
It's a pleasure to have you. How are you today?
Pretty much good. Really, really good. It's an exciting day for us.
Wonderful to hear. So let's get straight into the conversation, starting a little bit, of course, with the economic outlook post-elections. How would you say, in your opinion, and maybe from those in the chamber, the recent general election outcome may or may not reshape Tobago's economic prospects?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to extend grateful thanks to congratulations to the Honorable Kamala Bissessa. That's the Prime Minister designate, and also to the Honorable Fadi Augustine and his team, Mr. Thomas and Mr. Solomon, on their victory in the elections. We in Tobago will give them all the support that they so desire to move the chart the way for Tobago going forward. I know it's not an easy job, because we're moving in economic times where things is a bit tight. As we can see, there are a lot of things happening in this space, with the Dragon deal being off, with the tariff being laid upon us. And I know it's definitely going to be a little tight. But as we could see, Tobago have been struggling for some time, and the THE have complained about having cash flow issues. And we know the media review will be sometime soon. I think it's in June. So we are looking forward to our representative speaking with the central government, having that cordial relationship with the central government, seeking some additional funding to bring the THE back up to scratch, so that they can start to put some money into the economy in Tobago, so that we could get things moving across here.
In addition to what you would have just mentioned, are there any specific policy shifts that you would recommend or you are hoping to see over the next few years?
Well, the biggest thing is that Tobago, again, we know it's a tourist destination, and we're looking to develop the tourism industry in Tobago. And there's no way we can do that without the central government assistance. So I'm asking the Honorable Prime Minister and her team to understand the problem that Tobago faces and to work with us as a team. I know that conversation have been said before. I worked with the UNC before, in the last time they were in government, and we at the Tobago division, we had a great relationship with that government, and I hope that it continue within this next 5 years, and I could see a lot of good success coming in for Tobago.
In light of that, one of the things that we've seen, of course, trending on social media post-election and prior to would have been the conversation surrounding sandals. What are your thoughts on that? And moving forward, what would you like to see?
Well, I know the Sanders conversation started with the then PNM administration, and it was endorsed by the Tobago Assembly and all the various stakeholders around that table. And I think that now that the central government is now the UNC, and I think the Prime Minister will put together a team that will meet with the THE, and they will discuss the future of not only Sanders, but other direct investment in Tobago, because we had the Marriott as well, and there was some other investment that we are looking forward to, because we just had a brand new terminal building, and so far that terminal building is empty, and it was proposed to open in June. I don't think that would be realistic, and we cannot make that a white elephant. So we definitely have to put the necessary things in place to develop the tourism industry, a holistic approach. And it definitely, we need central government in the conversation. It's no way the THE or the industry stakeholders in Tobago can do it alone. So we definitely will need the central government in the conversation, and that is something that will make a big game changer for Tobago.
Curtis, just keeping on line with economic diversification, specifically, of course, we just spoke about tourism. What about the agricultural sector? What is the outlook and the recommendations from the Tobago division of the Chamber when it comes to this moving forward?
Well, we asked that we did ask the THA because they having their fiscal package being prepared now, and we having conversations with them as they put together this fiscal package. And one of the items that we have on the agenda is to treat with the agriculture division, the agriculture sector, and how we can develop it, how the THA can and do the enabling. Remember, the THA owns a lot of land in Tobago, and so we are asking the THA to make these lands available to the farmers, large-scale farming, not the part-time farming that we normally have in Tobago, where you come home and you just wet your crops and a little kitchen garden thing, probably a one lot or so forth. We're talking about acres. We're talking about one farmer doing watermelon, maybe for 4 acres of watermelon, and one farmer doing chicken rearing, and all these other aspects of agriculture. So we asking the THA, the lands that you have, make them available for the prospective farmers, and then you have to hold their hands going through because they need the support in the farming. Some of these lands, the access road is not accessible, and we're asking them to assist them in getting the roads accessible so that they can get to their lands, and they also can get water and other utilities that they may need or desire to get to that land. And those are the things that we're going to have in the conversation going forward.
Important conversations, of course, that will continue over the next few years or so. Let's go across to the business climate in Tobago. What is your outlook when it comes to, let's say, the next 2.5 years? Do you perceive any increases, and are there any concerns that you would like to bring to the table?
Well, so far with the tariff, we did saw some slight increases in food prices. I have business in the retail sector, and some of my suppliers they did send me correspondence indicating slight rise in prices. I think probably a 5 to 7% increase, and I know for sure the tariff would definitely have some effect on us here in Tobago. We are the last end of the stick, as we want to say. So we bracing for that. We will definitely brace for that. The conversation must be carried on. I know there was a big conversation there with the Caribbean and the CARICOM dealing with the taxes on ships that made in China, and I think we did come over that a bit. So I'm really looking forward to having continued conversation with the US, and I think one of them did call out to me yesterday, and I think it's someone from the embassy, so they probably would visit us in Tobago and speak to the business sector. And I'm looking forward to that conversation with the US Embassy liaison folks.
Moving back to governance in Tobago particularly, of course, Curtis, we would have seen a massive shift when it came to the landscape. Let's get your insight and the insight of perhaps those who are within your chamber when it comes to that. Was this something that prior to the general elections was perhaps a thought on the table? And how do you perceive this shift is going to benefit the economy?
But what we see throughout the campaign, there were lots of promises made within both the Tobago People Party as well as the central government. So we right now we have actually downloaded some of those promises. We have all of the chat out at our next meeting next week. We want to put together those items, and we're going to have it like a checklist going forward. Also, we're going to meet out to the Tobago Assembly, the representatives, and we will give them an insight on some of the things and activities that we're looking forward to in the next 5 years chatting going forward. I know one of the main issue, and I mean is a big issue, a big take for us, is payment to suppliers and service providers on the island. And as he indicated, the teacher did say to us that they're having cash flow issues, and I really hope that the central government can take that into consideration and treat it as a matter of urgency going forward, because it's really affecting most of our members, if not all our members, having some challenges with cash receiving payments from the central government and the THA.
How have your members been able to effectively manage that up until now?
Well, it's not an easy task, I can tell you. We're speaking with our bankers. Up to yesterday, I was speaking to my bankers to at least see what I can do in my overdraft, probably even carry it a little further, knowing that things is on the horizon. We've seen good things on the horizon with the change of administration. We've seen Tobago now having some say in how things go forward. And I know from before, it will definitely work well for us because we have a cordial relationship with the UNC government. And I know that the chief secretary and the new government will also have a cordial relationship. They will be starting from ground zero. And I think that conversation could be going very, very healthy, and it could really do a lot for Tobago going forward.
Curtis, as we continue to talk in the realm of finances, of course, one of the things you would have just mentioned would have been the promises that would have come out of campaigning. And many times we've seen in the past that even though promises are made, they're not necessarily delivered on. From what you've reviewed thus far with your chamber, is it economically feasible to see some of these come to pass?
Well, some of them is a bit way off our expectation because we know the scarce resources in Trinidad in Trinidad and Tobago, I should say, and I could see some of them will probably be scheduled a bit later down, but not immediately at all. Definitely not immediately at all. But I can see the framework if we start setting up the framework. And just a simple thing: there's a lot of liquidity in the environment, and I think that the government can look to probably float some government bonds and see if they could suck up some of this liquidity. So the bank have an active role to play in all of this. We talk about access to forex. So central bank have a role. I think the central bank have been very quiet, and I'm asking the central bank, please come on. This is not the time to be quiet. This is the time to get down and start to steer the thing. The central bank need to play a more active role in moving the economy forward.
Oh, let's shift back to governance, particularly because you would have just referenced, of course, you are going to be meeting with the Chamber and, well, the House of Assembly rather, and so and more as the time continues. How does the Chamber assess the current governance framework in Tobago? And do you have any recommendations that you are going to be laying on the table moving forward that you will hold them accountable for?
Well, yes, we have a great relationship with the Tobago House of Assembly. We meet on a quarterly basis, sometimes even before, and we share our expectation, we share our challenges, and they also share their expectation and their challenges. I knew this year we were expecting some projects to be kicked off. They were held back because of cash flow issues, and they did share those with us. And yes, we appreciate that. We understand that. We like the transparency, but again, we have business to run, and we can't live on a lot of hopes and prayers. So we are just asking that some things become reality, and so that we could really push the idea, push the agenda of moving Tobago forward. The commerce on the island is a bit slow as we speak, and hence the reason why we're asking for that inflow of cash so that it can make that trickle-down effect down to the small man on the streets, so everyone could feel the effect of cash being flowed throughout the island. Right now is a bit slow, and we're looking forward to this new agenda, this new government, and going forward to make Tobago a more viable place for investment.
With regards to things being slow, is it a consideration of the crime in Tobago, that being a contributing factor?
No, the crime. I think the team across here, that's Mr. Eli and his team, and they're doing a tremendous job. I can say law enforcement in Tobago is doing a tremendous job. It's one thing I can tell you. I felt a little more safe now than before. I see the patrols out in night when I'm taking out my garbage. I see the patrols out. They wave to me. The glasses are down. It's not to say they have the black glass up. They do put down the glass in the night, and I see they do acknowledge residents on the streets, and I'm quite happy about that. And we in the division, we are quite happy where they make the checks. They do stop and come out and make the checks. So we're quite happy to see that crime is something that has been under control in Tobago. I can tell you for sure. What we're hoping is that when we have activities or large events, that the police do come out in the numbers and give the support because there's an influx of tourists and visitors. So we're just hoping that when these events is in place, that the police do come out and give the support, and we have it a crime-free. But we are quite satisfied. Crime is not a big issue. The biggest issue that we are facing us now is that whole idea of economic activity within the space, and the conversation that the central government need to have with the Tobago Assembly with driving the agenda of Tobago and its development in the tourism sector.
Mr. Williams, in addition to that, what would you say are some of the Chamber's immediate priorities when it comes to supporting economic growth, particularly with the small businesses?
Well, we think education is the biggest thing now. We've seen a lot of folks into business, but not understanding the fundamentals of business. So we are definitely embarking on an educational drive for all our small businesses across the island. We started last month with an AI forum, and we just introducing them to AI and how AI could affect the business and how they could use AI to their advantage. It was oversubscribed, so we decided to take that to the next level. The next level meant that we are going to go around the island with the support we are asking for corporate sponsors going forward, going across the island, with a caravan indicating to business and other small stakeholders around what AI can do and the benefits of AI going forward. We're even looking at AI in schools, and I think we spoke to the Secretary of Education, and if we could start with the teachers, just getting them introduced to AI and how AI can affect education as well as moving through, as I mentioned, the community, how AI can affect their business going forward.
So we've touched on agriculture, as you just referenced, education, economics, small businesses, Forex briefly, and so much more. What are other things that you are focusing on that you would like to see achieved over the next few years?
Well, we want to make sure we have a stable logistics happening because, in the past, when the cable star or the cargo vessel goes down, what happens in Tobago space? So we're trying to build some kind of redundancy in that area. I knew there was a proposal went out for a new cargo vessel. We didn't hear anything about it. Throughout the election, we did hear someone whisper that Tobago going to get a new vessel. So we hope that conversation continues so that we could build some kind of redundancy in that whole moving cargo between the two islands, making it smooth. Caribbean Airline is another kid on the block that we definitely have to have a conversation with Caribbean Airline, the minister who is responsible for that, because we realize that during our events, we always have challenges with Caribbean Airline getting folks in and out of Tobago. So that's something that we want to look at. Again, as I mentioned, the tourism industry is a big thing for us in Tobago, and we want to ensure that that industry is well built all around, not only just sand and sea, but we're looking at other aspects of tourism. We're looking at all the ecotourism. We're looking at sport tourism. We're looking at education tourism and cultural tourism, because Tobago is rich and full of culture. And why can't we just market this culture? So if for some reason one day the guest is here at your hotel and it's raining all day, then you could have shows being put on and the guests can be entertained and enjoy what Tobago have to offer, rich, beautiful culture.
Definitely some wonderful recommendations there, and hoping that we'll see them implemented as time goes on. In final question this morning, Curtis, in what ways would you say the private sector can contribute to the successful implementation of the THA's development plans and central government's plans as well?
Well, what we're trying to do is to pull people away from the THA. We have a lot, the THA employs a lot of people. So we are trying to, and the project they employ them on is short-term project, 10 on, 10 off, and morning work. So we the private sector said, fine, if you give us the enabling environment, we can develop the private sector so that become robust, so that we could pull some of these people away from the THA and give them sustainable jobs, 8 to 4 jobs, meaningful jobs that they can go to the bank and borrow money against, and not a temporary job, not a 10 on and a 10 on. That's not sustainable, and it doesn't make you feel like you're working, make you feel like you're just there existing. So we in the private sector could give you meaningful jobs that make you feel like a human being, make you feel like somebody that they could empower your entire family going forward.
Mr. Williams, as we close our conversation this morning, firstly, let me say thank you so much for joining us. But in your closing comments, if you could also share, do you think that we're going to see a constant shift in our political landscape as we move forward?
Well, right now I see some kind of we definitely will be. I don't see shifting happening because I know the THC election is soon. And I know based on the momentum going on in Tobago, the chief secretary in his wisdom may decide to have an early THC election and then kind of settle the environment a bit and then start to chart the agenda going forward. And I know that may come. I've seen it already. I'm feeling it because of the environment and how things goes. It just needs to be stable a bit, and then we will move forward going forward in a meaningful way in Tobago.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, and to all the listeners and viewers. Bye-bye.
Curtis Williams, Chairman of the Tobago Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, with us this morning on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. There's more coming up after this break.